Find us on Facebook, email us at head2headpinball@gmail.com, or go to our website at head2headpinball.com. Welcome everybody to the Head2Head Pinball Podcast. This is episode 42 and my name's Martin, and with me
it's Ryan C, and we've got a very special guest on today, don't we, Marty?
Do we?
Yes. Actually, you don't know about this. I've got someone special.
Who have you got?
Pinball News and Pinball Profile tried and they failed. But Marty, we got him on. This man had a mountain of dreams and he failed to realize them all. And he's here today to defend his integrity. He allegedly has a which apparently is the root of all the problems here. The man who successfully sold a company that is now being liquidated. The man, the myth, the legend, Andrew Heighway.
It's a pleasure.
Now, Andrew, why did you choose to appear on our show, and why did you give Martin from Pinball News such a hard time?
It was on my bucket list, so here I am.
I guess we all have some weird ones on our bucket list. Now, Andrew, can you confirm that it's really you? Maybe start by telling us a lie. One of the lies that you're famous for.
Full Throttle is a critically acclaimed table. There's a lot of top people in the industry who've given it rave reviews.
That is 100% absolute bullshit, so I thank you for confirming your identity. Andrew, your games, in particular Alien, they're absolutely rubbish in their hardware quality and they're falling apart. What do you have to say about that?
Well, listen, I've said this before. For us, or for me, when I started this company, I had a certain number of philosophies or approaches that we wanted to take with this. And I've always been a massive lover of WMS games, Bally or Williams branded games. That's what that's where my real love for pinball came from, playing these games. And, the more I got to work on them, the more I got to realise that, this is a quality product. Everything about what WMS did with their pinballs was quality. And that's the bar that I set for the way that we went about our business. And there's a lot of WMS DNA in what we're doing here. And so, yes, that's the target that we set ourselves, to make quality games. Now, of course, I can tell you that was our target. But, as the old saying goes, the proof of the pudding's in the tasting. You have to listen to what our customers are saying about this. Only they can say whether we achieve that goal or not. But
well, the customers have spoken, Andrew, and your game is a piece of shit.
Oh, thanks. Yes, very proud of that too.
Andrew, how would you describe your actions with your time at Heighway Pinball?
Stupid and irresponsible.
In the past, you've talked about your love for the silver ball. More recently, you've talked about your love for hydrofoils. Could it be said that you will love any narrative that will put more money in your wallet?
That's correct, yes.
Andrew, we've got a really busy show. Our show runs for like 3 hours sometimes. We've got Slam the Top 100. We got John Popovich to talk about today. One thing I wanted to touch on before we go, I mentioned that when I introduced you. Apparently, allegedly, this is not, I haven't seen it, okay? Apparently you have a and this is the root of all the evil that has come out of Heighway Pinball. Can I please see it?
You can see it. You can see it. You can see it. You can see it. Yeah, I'll show you.
All right, Andrew. Well, thanks for coming on the show. And, geez, I got to make up a fake name so you don't sue me. I'm Jeff, by the way. I'm Jeff. So thanks, mate.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
Well, that was really good to have Andrew Heighway on our show. So thank you very much for your time, Andrew.
And just so we're clear, since some people don't know when things are a joke or not, that was a joke.
It was a joke, my lord.
It was a joke. Yes, just in case. But man, everything's so serious right now with the whole Heighway thing, and I'm not sure how we're gonna tackle this whole thing because I don't really want to do like an hour show on Heighway and that interview on This Week in Pinball. What have you got to say about the situation, Marty?
Pinball News, you mean?
Yep. Sorry, Pinball News.
That's
yep.
The one.
Oh, and This Week in Pinball as well.
That's right. Just making sure we're giving people the right credit. And it's funny because you and I probably spoke about this before. And I actually had, I don't know, I'm assuming you did as well, a lot of people reach out to me again this week, either giving me more information or asking for information. And I think my response was pretty much standard, which was, I'm kind of now just trying to avoid the whole shit show.
Yeah, I mean, after like reading that 8,000 words interview on Pinball News, which is very comprehensive and a great job by Martin. Jeff Teolis's interview, other podcasts, This Week in Pinball, the forums. I played pinball for the first time in 2 days today, which I know 2 days isn't a long break. And I was like, oh yeah, pinball. Like,
it's fun, isn't it?
Like, yeah, like playing pinball is fun, and like reading this stuff about pinball isn't fun. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things in life that I like doing, and reading about the failures of that thing that I like doing isn't that fun or interesting to me. But it is news. We do have a podcast. We're not trying to bury our heads in the sand and not cover it. But I mean, what have you heard, Marty? Because no, I haven't actually heard anything, and no, I haven't really been talking to people that much about it outside of the podcast.
No, look, and probably one of the other things to add to it as well is, Ryan, what is the truth?
I don't know.
Who would fucking know? This is what's really shitty about this, right? Is that so obviously since last week we spoke about the fact that the liquidators have been called in for Heighway in the UK, and then there's this other company called Pinball Brothers that was set up shortly after, which everything's been siphoned to. Then there's this other entity called Umbrella Corporation in Sweden, or wherever the fuck it is, where pretty much that's all, it's all been orchestrated. But then a couple of days ago, we had on Pinball News the interview with Andrew Heighway, which was originally meant to be a live interview with him, but then he refused. He wanted to review the questions, so there's this big, long interview with Andrew Heighway. What do we know, Ryan? Well, what we know is that we don't know the truth. Like, he could be lying through his ass. He could be telling the truth. There's people on forums, could be lying, could be telling the truth. It's doing my head in trying to process all the information to determine what is the truth.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, it's almost like in business, you have to lie. And I know that sounds horrible, but I mean, it kind of happens throughout life in general and through business. It's only like everyone's making a big deal of it because the company failed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to mention any companies, but all the companies that are successfully trading now, I'm sure they have to do things that might be a little bit questionable, and they've obviously got disgruntled employees as well. But things don't fall apart, so everything kind of gets held together, by even if they're fragile strings. But of course, and this business has failed, so everything's getting kind of aired out now. Obviously, there's a lot of truths that are being stretched by Andrew. For example, on Pinball Profile with Jeff Teolis, he interviewed one of the coders, and he said that he kind of hadn't started working at all on Queen, their third title. Now, if you go back 2 years ago on an interview, and that's the interview that I pulled some of the sounds from for our little fake interview, Andrew's saying that, we've got all these machines ready and title number 3, it already has artwork for it, and it already has code in it. Like, all we have to do now is make the whiteboard and we can get into production. So obviously that's a lie, right? Like, obviously code didn't exist for it unless he's talking about, the basic code that...
The framework, right.
Yeah, the framework that powers, a whiteboard to, every machine has that, I guess, flippers and pop bumpers. So I don't know. As I said, this is an ongoing story. A lot of people have been dragged into it. Dave Sanders, obviously, the story's kind of getting out about him, his past employees.
And he's now got GoFundMe set up to pay for his expenses and stuff.
And then Andrew kind of said that, well, he didn't want to be on that, on a salary. He wanted this and that, and it's a he said, she said kind of thing. So.
Well, and I also did. I saw some further comments from Dave Sanders at Pinball Info, which is the UK forum, Effect Pinball forum, and he basically said, "Yeah, I didn't want to become an investor in his company. Then, if anything goes bad, then there's liability. So that's probably one of the better decisions he made, was to not become a shareholder of that company. Now that we know what we know."
Yeah. So. As I said, I don't know what to say. I mean, there's even someone that jumped on the thread and on Pinside and said that Andrew Heighway effectively stole a bunch of kind of pinball machines. Like, he lent them to Andrew for a show and then never got them back, and the guy was out of the hobby. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I almost I don't want to know anything. As I said, like all this stuff is not pinball to me. It's the shit show that's behind pinball. And every hobby that you're in, I'm sure there's this, but I don't want to concentrate on it because I like pinball. I like flipping the silver ball. It's just drama. It's reality TV show. It's a real life reality TV show.
Yeah, it is, and forums thrive on this stuff, right? Because it's something to talk about, and everyone can get their point across. And you're right. It's not a major part of the overall pinball story that we choose to tell. But there are a lot of people that have lost their money on this, and they were lied to. So when people were having doubts about either going in on a machine like that, this is the thing that's shitty, right? There was people that were saying, "Oh, I don't know whether I should put my money down," and then somebody, the owner of a company, saying, "Yep, absolutely, machines are in production. You're going to get your machine." Someone puts their money down at that stage and never sees a machine. That's the shitty part.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like, that might have happened with another company, but then, an investor comes in and saves the company, and then it doesn't matter. But
Right.
In this case, everything fell apart. So, there's a witch hunt, and people were sending death threats and posting his address. And I'm not painting out Andrew to be a saint at all. But it's just, I think he's just a really shitty businessman,
Yeah.
and that's what it comes down to. And the whole lying thing, and yes, he seems like a bit of a, this is just my guess. He seems like a bit of a compulsive liar, and that he lies so much that he kind of has to believe his own lies. But I think that comes with, like, in the Pinball News interview, he kind of said, I did what I had to do in the best interests of the company. That's all. That's, you can say that, but if you couple that with being a shit businessman, then it all falls apart and just looks double as bad, right?
Right, and it's one of those things where had the company continued and been successful, he would have slept easy at night saying, what I did, but it's now a success. Well, it wasn't a success. And I had this conversation the other night when I was streaming. There was somebody that's been implicated in all of this that was in chat, and you were there as well. And I just did the hypothetical question. I said, if people had, and it's a bit of a catch-22 situation, if people hadn't, sounded the alarm bells and people started getting their refunds, could there have been a way forward for some people to get their machines and for the company to be a success, or was it really just too far gone that there was never any way out of this?
I think the writing was on the wall, and it depends on how deep the pockets are of the investors. I mean, any pinball company can be eventually successful if you throw millions and millions and millions of dollars at it, but this is business, and the investors aren't going to sit there and lose money. I mean, the balance sheet, which is public, you can go and look up Andrew Heighway's, the Heighway Limited or whatever it's called. It's all online. Like, the company tax returns and balance sheets are public knowledge in the UK, and they're not in Australia. I'm not sure about the US, but this is the information that was kind of circulating, and this is what people were basing it off. Hey, Heighway is, like, I can't remember what it was. It was like either 300 or 500,000 pounds in the red, right? And Andrew hasn't paid for supplier invoices. So, I mean, when someone's lying to your face and saying, yeah, we'll get, shit ready in 2 weeks, and then people have contacts with, say, like Pinball Life, and Pinball Life says, okay, well, Andrew hasn't ordered anything yet, well, then you know that it's bullshit. If that's the supplier and, they're not getting stock, then you know that he's telling a lie. And that's, I guess, when people started to pull their money out and there was a run for the bank. I don't think you can blame the run for the bank on one or two people. I think it was going to happen anyway. And so the pinball climate has changed. And, with all this stuff, and we said we don't really talk about it, there's a lesson in everything. And the lesson is don't put down money on anything if you're not prepared to lose the money.
Yep.
And, if you can avoid pre-ordering a pinball machine, then do that, and you will be happier. Pinball machines always come up for sale. If I want to buy an Alien today, I can buy an Alien.
Yep. And it's interesting. So I was just before we got on tonight, and I sent you a screen grab of it. I had talked about this on the podcast before, that I was really close to putting money down on an Alien, and I actually show you the email tonight that I got from Andrew, sort of saying, an Australian distributor hasn't been announced yet, but you can put your money right down directly through us. And I don't know what it was at the time. I kind of just thought, you know what, I'm not a pre-order guy. So that was kind of at the time I thought, you know what, I just don't have the level of comfort that I would like, so I didn't put my money down. Fuck me, I'm so glad that happened.
Well, I've never said this on the podcast, but I actually asked Andrew for a price on 10 Aliens. I'm not joking. I was just like, because there was no distributor at the time, and I was just like, I hadn't played it yet. I think this was before Expo, and I was just kind of getting a bit excited about it, and I just thought, maybe we should organize some kind of like group buy together, and I was going to be the one that possibly would lead that. And luckily he took like 3 weeks to answer the email, and I didn't get an invoice or anything. I think that's when he was talking to Mr. Pinball about a possible partnership. So
what stopped you from going ahead?
Oh, well, he said he didn't do an invoice anyway, but that was just me being curious and maybe trying to fish around to see what the wholesaler price was or something on
right.
On
okay.
Anyway, bullet dodged by both of us.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously people have lost their money, and they may get their money back at some stage. You never know. There have been other people that have got their money back through other companies going down.
Is that a segue, money?
Oh, what do you reckon?
Yeah.
Because I just now that was really my moment of saying, let's move on to the next fuckery and leave this fuckery behind.
So John Popaduke, Mr. Social Justice himself,
yep,
appeared in court this week against a bunch of people. I think there was 26 or so, and he got a judgment against him, which basically meant that he was liable to pay these people back monies owing to the machine. For the machines that they didn't get.
For Magic Girl,
it was a civil case. I think it's Magic Girl, Raza, and Alice in Wonderland as well.
Yep.
So basically, they've got the judgment, but that doesn't mean that they get the money. It just means that they're allowed to kind of try and get the money off.
I think it wasn't it like personal liability. So effectively, they now, the court has said the money's coming from you, John, and if he says I don't have the money, then bankruptcy and no one gets anything.
Or it's possible. I think Dennis from the Eclectic Gamers podcast talked about there's if there's creditors for someone that goes bankrupt, then if they get a job in the future, then a portion of that wage goes towards the money that they owe, I guess.
Right, okay. The Jordan Belfort of his time.
Exactly, yeah. He he's got all the money buried in his backyard apparently, so like Kevin Cooley.
So what does that mean now with Deep Root involved?
I guess, as we kind of mentioned with Deep Root a couple of months ago, they've got so many designers that it's almost like they don't seem to need John Popaduke. So I guess we'll see what happens with that at the 5 days of Deep Root at Texas Pinball Festival next year.
Maybe it's only 4 days. They can only afford 4 days now.
They only afford 4 days, yeah. So I don't know. It's just another book to be closed, or it's still open, I guess, on the shit show that goes on behind the pinball scenes. Pinball Drama 101.
Yeah. Okay. So man, it's just one of these things we talked about before. So Stern, it's a sure bet, right? If you're going to put money down for a deposit on a Stern, you're going to get your machine. Right?
That's right.
Yep.
Yes.
Spooky,
yes.
You'd agree?
Sure, you have to wait a really long time at the moment.
Sure,
yep.
but Spooky's pretty stable. Jersey Jack?
Yeah, sure. You have to wait a while as well.
Yep, but that's their model.
Yeah.
Who else have we got?
Dutch Pinball.
Are you going to get your pinball machine, Ryan?
Well, you can't really order one now, but who the fuck knows?
Who knows? Who else have we got? So Deeproot, we don't know, big question mark, but, hopefully the 5 days of Deeproot, and that's actually not even me being funny trying to say that again, will enlighten us on how that's going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Name another one.
I don't know.
Home Pin. Will you get your machine from Home Pin?
Sure. Yeah, I think you will.
Yeah. Okay.
Will it be good? I don't know.
Well, I think we do know.
Anyway,
so look, as I was saying, lesson to be learned, and I just hope that people don't get caught up in the theme hype, and that's really what it's happened, right? So, Alien in particular was a dream theme for so many people. They just wanted it to happen. And it blinded them to a logical decision, which is don't put money down.
I just remember that frustrating conversation that I had when I caught wind of someone that I knew that wanted to get on an Alien, and this is right before kind of the run to the bank, and I just rang him, and it was such a long conversation, and it only really needed to be a 5-minute conversation or less. But the conversation just kept on going, and because he hadn't saying, yeah, but it's Alien, and I really like Alien, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm making Alien, dump your fucking money on me and I'll steal your money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey guys, I'm making Harry Potter, send me all your fucking money and I'll keep it and I'll rip you off.
Are you really making Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Let me give you my credit card details right now.
Exactly.
I'll put me down for 10. Can I get a discount on 10 of them?
You idiot.
I'm pretty sure I'm not the idiot in this scenario.
Yeah, I know. What I'm trying to say is as you said, it blinds them. The theme blinds them. Yep. Their childhood blinds them. It's like, who gives? If you're really happy to lose the money, then fair enough. But don't end up complaining about it on Pinside, saying, I'm gonna hunt down Andrew and make sure his hydrofoil business does it.
Well. Okay. Now, so you've actually just raised a very interesting name that is allowing me to bring up a point. We thought we'd moved on from Heighway, but we haven't. The problem is that the likes of Pinside is where people go to get advice. They do.
Yep.
And there was some very well-known and well-respected people at Pinside that were advising people to put money down on an Alien.
Well, it happens. There's cheerleaders for every single manufacturer,
That's right?
Yeah.
So any of those people feel any sort of guilt of what's happened?
I don't know. I mean, as I said, I don't know. I don't think you can blame anyone but yourself, really. I mean, unless someone's trying to pull the wool over your eyes and give you the wrong information. But if they just say this is a cool game, Highways. I don't know, unless it's the accountant, telling you that we're in good financial situation.
I know, but you and I are well informed. You a lot more than I am, and so if something came up, we would know the risks, we would know all the details. But let's say if somebody just saw on a Facebook post somewhere that a new Alien pinball is coming down, they're going to want to go on the internet and research this. Yeah. They go to Pinside. This is someone, I'm not mentioning their name. Keep spouting on about, don't listen to all the haters, it's a done deal. I know the owner, I know the people, I've seen the machines, there's a full production one, people aren't going to know what's reality. And that comes back to my first point I made, which what's the frickin' truth? What's reality here? It's really hard for people that don't know other people in the pinball hobby to really know what's going on.
Yeah, you could almost say that about anything in life.
Yep.
I mean, you put your money in the bank, and then the next thing you know, if you're in Greece or something like that, you can't withdraw your money anymore.
Yep.
And it's just sometimes you have to kind of place some blind trust. But we've kind of mentioned before, like, I'm so jaded now by this whole the pinball drama thing that I'm out of everything. And Iron Maiden's cool, and maybe if you weren't getting it and 6 other people that I know getting an LE, I'd be like, oh yeah, I need to get it. But I'm just past the point of buying new machines because there's nothing enticing enough for me to say, yep, I'm gonna support this company by paying them before they finish the product. There's absolutely nothing that says I should spend my hard-earned money to either fund a company or pay them before they finish the product, not finish like hardware. I mean software and everything, animations, all the modes, everything. If you haven't finished it, then I don't want it.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
That's my philosophies, but you know,
I completely respect that, and I understand why you've got that philosophy. And you know, clearly that's somewhat a comment on my blind Iron Maiden, but you know, I think that there was certainly enough information to know, you know, it was a Keith Elwin game, it was Archer layout, and it was Iron Maiden, so there's enough of those, and it's Stern, right? But
yeah, no,
if that was somebody else,
it wasn't a dig. It wasn't a dig at you. It was just more a dig in my experience in life with almost anything. Like when I ran a company and I send products out to people, okay, every once in a while something would be faulty and someone would say, "Hey, Ryan, can I, like, it's my kid's birthday," or so. They give me a sob story and they say, "Can you please send the replacement one back, and then I'll send this one to you." And I was making nothing, like 10% on these products, and whenever I let my guard down and did it, they would never send the faulty, you know, in question item back, because they had no accountability. There's no reason for them to do so. But if I say no, you send it back, and then I send it to you, then they have to do it. I know it sucks, and not trusting people, but when someone doesn't have any, as I said, accountability for their actions, then they can do it. It's an option to not finish something, not do the best that they can do, not deliver a product, go to Australia and start fucking riding the curl hydrofoil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So do you know what it's done? Which okay, maybe I'm making this a bit more grand than it needs to be, but so you know, I've now, how many new inboxes have I had? 3. Star Trek, Hobbit, Wizard of Oz, right?
Yes.
And that putting money down, waiting for the pinball to arrive, and then it arriving and unboxing it and playing it for the first time, that whole experience, whether it's 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, because I think Hobbit was like 6 months from money down to getting it, that was an amazing experience. I loved that experience. I loved the anticipation. I loved waking up every morning and checking where that stupid frickin' ship was in the middle of the ocean that had my Hobbit on it. I loved that, and I loved, you know, Lucas coming over and unboxing it and then fixing everything that was wrong, and then we played it. I don't want that experience to be tainted, and I know this sounds a bit silly for me to go, I want you to experience that again, Ryan. Please, can't you experience that again?
No, the Hobbit killed.
No, I understand.
But you have no idea how obsessed I was with the Hobbit before I bought it. Like, you don't know at all.
I can pretty much gather, knowing you as well as I do now.
Like, every single video of the Hobbit I watched, every single stream I watched, like every night, it was sad. Every bit of news, every interview, the interviews were the same. Like, Jack would go from one place to another, and I still enjoy, when I picked it up. I still enjoyed the shit out of it for months and months and months. But then it kind of like it wears off, and I'd rather just get a secondhand pinball machine. I'd rather be like, Iron Maiden, it's fucking amazing now. Like, I'll buy it.
Yep.
Anyway,
I totally agree with you, and as I said, I respect and like the fact that that's your call. I just think it's shitty that, you know, if it's, you know, code that hasn't lived up to its hype, or the machine hasn't lived up to its hype, or the machines just haven't arrived. That's just that shitty impact that it has on our enjoyment of the new inbox experience.
As I said, it's almost like it's not the new inbox experience, it's new inbox drama, because regardless of what is happening, people will pick at something. For example, segue to Jersey Jack. They revealed their new kind of apron for Pirates of the Caribbean, because I believe some people kind of complaining that the other apron was quite dark. And now people are complaining about that apron. And it's just like, just don't give the people what they want, because they complain about everything. I know that sounds stupid and contradictory to what I just kind of mentioned before, but Pirates is coming along. I have been watching the streams now more than normal, and I don't know. Aprons. I mean, their apron is nice because there's no yellow cards on it. So thumbs up from me, guys.
They listened. They knew the only thing to make you happy was for them to not put yellow cards on. Well done.
They haven't had yellow cards from the beginning. That was one of their founding pillars of success at EJP. Monster Bash remake, Marty. When are we going to see it?
Well, I don't know, but isn't there some rumor now that it's not going to be the next one?
No, the rumor someone posted is the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show, and it's happening in June sometime, I think, and they posted a Facebook post saying, hey, you can win a pinball machine, and the grand prize is a brand new Monster Bash pinball machine, the remake. And then literally, like, someone screen capped it, and then literally 10 minutes later they removed it.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure it is the Monster Bash remake. It'll come back. It'll be revealed soon, I guess. What someone showed me on the weekend was the medieval. You know how AFM has the big screen?
Yes.
The huge, yes, the oversized screen. So I believe they're now at a show. I believe they showed the Medieval Madness version of that. I have no idea how much it costs, but it looks cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Looks great.
I don't know what you're going to say to that, but yes, it does look good.
It looks great. It's what we loved about the Attack from Mars remake was the big screen.
Yeah. It's obviously they got the dots there anyway. They were just on a small screen, but another bit of news, Marty, that I've just caught on this week in pinball, just before we move on from Jersey Jack. Apparently, it's heavily rumored that the next title from Jersey Jack, was going to be Toy Story, followed by Willy Wonka, but now apparently it's flipped. So apparently Willy Wonka might be next, and Toy Story will be after that. Even though the Toy Story movie comes out in June 2019, which I guess revealing that next would make sense because it probably takes them 6 months to produce it. Maybe they had a change of heart, and if that is a title they're bringing out, it will include all 4 movies instead of 3 movies, right?
Right, okay.
Who knows? But I think that the first 3 movies are solid enough as a overall story arc to kind of be a complete pinball machine, but maybe they've read the script of the 4th, and I don't know, maybe it continues on quite well. Who knows?
Okay.
Are you interested in any of those titles, Willy Wonka or Toy Story?
I am more interested in Willy Wonka. Obviously, if it was the superior Johnny Depp version. No, it's just a big sigh from you. Is that all I'm going to get from you?
Because I repressed that memory, and now I remember that I actually don't like you as a human being.
Okay, my take on it is it's very interesting, both of those themes, because Willy Wonka is very, in my mind, similar to Wizard of Oz in that it's a timeless classic. It's an old classic. It's a movie that we saw in our childhood that we now reflect on as an adult. I don't know how it resonates. I think visually it will make a spectacular machine.
Yeah, Jersey Jack are pretty good at I don't know, we just saw what we saw with Wizard of Oz, and I think they're both amazing themes for that company to do.
Yep.
Pat Lawler was apparently the guy that was meant to be working on Toy Story, so
yeah,
who would be working on Willy Wonka to be shifted up there? I mean, they only have, I guess, Eric and Pat Lawler. Yeah, so does that mean that Pat's done 2, or does that mean Eric has been designing this in his spare time? That's why I couldn't do the 3 spinning discs. That's why.
You've worked it out.
We figured it out.
But Toy Story is a theme as well. What I like about Toy Story and what it represents is that I think it's more of a current young audience theme.
Yeah. Well, it's 20 years old, right?
Yeah, it is. But I don't know. It just seems more modern than Willy Wonka does.
Oh, for sure. I said Willy Wonka hits the right nostalgia points, I think, for a lot of people. And talking about nostalgia, can we talk about these next 2 rumored Stern titles? Can we segue into that?
We can. So
Okay. Well, we weren't going to.
yeah, we weren't going to, but then This Week in Pinball has just announced them as well. So let's say what they are.
Well, they're not announced. They're rumored, Marty. So these might not happen.
They might not.
You never know.
Bullshit. You never know.
So the first one is Beetlejuice. Are you a Beetlejuice fan, Marty?
No, I'm really not. Now, I will tell you though, I have seen the film.
10 points for you, Marty.
Thank you. The probably the first film that we've noted in this entire podcast that I've actually seen. And I liked the film a lot, but I've never seen it since.
1998, right?
Yep.
So, how? Okay, that's 30 years, right? So another tick for the nostalgia thing,
Yep,
old as fuck theme. It's a bit of a cult classic in that, was it popular back in the day? Okay, budget 15 million, box office 73 million. I don't think 73 million was that much back in the day. It's not a lot, but the movie didn't cost too much.
It probably did much better in the video store back when you could get videos.
Exactly. I mean, I was 4 years old when this came, or 3.5 when this came out. So I watched it when I moved in with my girlfriend, who is now my wife, and it was a movie that she watched religiously as a childhood. And maybe that's why she's so fucked up, because this movie is fucked up, Marty.
It's really fucking weird, isn't it?
It's weird as fuck, and she used to watch it as a kid. As an adult, probably not so much. But I was like, yeah, cool. But as I said, there was nothing there for me to, no nostalgia strings to pull on. The other theme is Superman, the original Superman, 1978. So
the movie. Yeah. Not from the original TV show, but the movie? Is that right?
Yeah, let me look up Superman 1978.
I think, I think 78 was when the first is it like Christopher Reeve movie came out or something like that? Yeah.
So, okay, budget 55 million, box office 300 million, right? So that's a lot more. It's a little bit better. The Superman that I remember the most, I'm not sure about you, Marty, is the one where the aliens kind of float around in mirrors in space. That's number 2.
Yeah, whatever it was, I was going to say like the Forbidden Zone or Triangle or whatever the bloody hell it is. Zod, I think, was one of the characters' names. Yeah, that was Superman 2.
Okay, that box office for that was 190 million, so I guess they chose the right one to base it off. So, I haven't watched the movie since I was a little kid, but it's Superman. I mean, who doesn't like Superman?
Superman's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And do you know what's really interesting? When we streamed a few weeks ago, we actually streamed the I think it's the only Superman pinball that's ever existed, the old Atari. And so many people were in chat asking about, will they make a new one? And I honestly just went, nah. If they were going to make one, they would have done it by now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Marvel has obviously been riding the comic book wave. Yep. And DC were kind of pretty slow, but now they kind of joined the party and making what was it, one that they joined all together? That was such a shit movie. But yeah, I mean, Superman is an evergreen
Justice
theme.
League, was it?
Yeah, Justice League, yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, that's a good title. Beetlejuice, this is the weird thing. Superman, you could put that anywhere, right? It's good for operators, it's good for collectors. All 3 models that Stern has, tick, 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 right? Beetlejuice, to collectors, a Beetlejuice Pro, like who would buy a Beetlejuice Pro? I don't think people on location are really going to be flocking to it. That title is more suited, I think, to like a super out. Like you got to be really into it, right?
Well, yeah. As soon as you just said that, which collector? It's like, but also if that was on location, who would walk past it and go, "Oh hell yeah, here's my $2"?
I don't know. I mean, when I was in Vegas, I was blown away by the licensing for slot machines. There was like Big Bang Bar slots.
Yeah.
There was Downtown Abbey slots. I was like, what the fuck?
You know what? It's really funny when you go to Vegas, they will stick any old shitty license in a fucking slot machine.
Well, there was a Breaking
everyone.
Yeah, there was a Breaking Bad one as well. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
My funniest one, and I've now seen it since, so I know it's one of these things. But when I saw that they had an Ellen slot machine,
Ellen,
the talk show, host, Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres has a slot machine, and
Why?
I love all things that are kitsch. So I was like, oh hell yeah, I got to go and play this. And when you get like the bonus feature, she just walks out on the
dancing?
screen, and no, she does. Yeah, well, she does dance, but she walks out and she does a joke and then walks off the screen. It's actually hilarious. But and there was a whole row of Rolling Stones slots, and arguably better than the Stern pinball machine. So
Yeah, I saw the Wonka one there, so I'm guessing the license is kind of similar for that. There's a Ron Burgundy one.
Really?
Game of Thrones, obviously. The Goonies. Oh my gosh. Okay, the fact that there's a Goonies slot machine really excited me.
Really?
Yes. A Goonies slot machine. That's what I did. I didn't play one slot machine because I just hate slot machines, and maybe I would have enjoyed it because maybe if you get laughs out of it, then it's worth it. But I don't actually understand it.
How good is the Goonies film?
It's magical.
I have no idea.
Oh, fuck you, Marty. That was a trap.
I've never seen it.
Elvira was there with the big boobies, Austin Powers. I'm just looking through my pictures now, guys. This is really riveting stuff. The Big Lebowski. I wonder if they'll make a Big Lebowski pinball machine.
Well, got to get their money.
Plants
somehow.
vs. Zombies 3D. There was
No
a Plants
way.
vs. Zombie 3D. Unbelievable. Downtown Abbey. Sons of Anarchy. There was a Sons of Anarchy. There was a Simpsons.
Yeah, okay.
Fucking Michael Jackson. There was a Michael Jackson one. I don't know. Anyway, what was our point? We just fucking went off a tangent there.
Well, we're just talking about these licenses. So Superman or Beetlejuice.
Ted. Sorry, one more. Ted.
As
There's
in
a Ted.
As in the Seth MacFarlane movie.
Yes. What? Ted. Oh, okay. Two more. I got fucking a million pictures here. Sherlock Holmes, right, off the TV show.
Wow. Okay.
I think. And Orange is the New Black, Marty. There's an Orange is the New Black slot machine. Like, yeah, let's make a fucking thing about lesbians in fucking jail.
Oh my god.
But
Wow.
Breaking Bad was one, and that's one that I'd love to see implemented as a pinball machine, just to see what they're going to do, because it is about cooking meth. And how do you somehow weave that into a pinball
Can't
machine?
see that in a time zone.
Yeah. Anyway, Superman. Yes.
So again, look. So I when I think of Superman, I think it would have to be a fast flow game, and maybe that will be, Steve Ritchie's next machine, considering he did the first the first Superman. Sorry. Yep, that's right.
Steve Ritchie did a Steve Ritchie. That was one of our episode names.
That's right. A Steve Ritchie's a Steve Ritchie. But the thing about Beetlejuice, I will say this, is that even though I can't remember too much of the movie, what I do remember, it did have a very sort of vivid and recognisable visual style. So I think visually it could make a great machine.
Oh my gosh, the colours and stuff from that pinball and the humour and the kind of craziness, it is a good license to work off. As I said, there's multiple hats we can put on, right? We put the operator hat on, maybe not that good. We put the collector hat on, yes, it's going to be amazing. The artwork hat on, oh my gosh, they can go nuts with this. Call outs, it depends on which angle you're going for, but Superman's obviously going to sell a shit ton. Yeah. And they should have saved the hyperdrive for that, right? The hyperdrive. Do you remember that scene in Superman where, like, someone dies and then he travels around the world so
turn it backwards, to turn time back. Yeah, time backwards.
That's the hyperdrive. That should be like the wizard mode, the fucking loading into the hyperdrive.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They'll use it again.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, as we've said, they're rumours. We just don't know. I mean, other one, Deadpool, Munsters, Beatles, Steve Ritchie's Black Knight 3000. I'm literally just reading this off this Sweden Pinball.
So that's like 6 titles. Like, holy shit.
And then there's Elvira 3. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Like, what do you think about that, man? What do you think about this stuff leaking out? I mean,
I was just about to say, what I think is someone needs to shut some people's mouths. Like, how does this stuff get out?
Someone needs to shut the fuck up. I mean, me and Marty kind of got this information a couple of days ago, and we sat on it, and we weren't going to talk about it at all because, I mean, it's hard. I know it sounds horrible, but I don't think people need to know 6 titles in advance, right? Yeah. Like, I know it might save people's money, and like, Superman's my dream theme, and I was going to buy Deadpool to tie me over, or but now I'll save my money up, and that might be good for the consumer. But I don't know. I mean, pinball machines hold enough of their value, and you don't really know what machine's going to be good and what isn't. I just don't. Yeah, I don't want to know that far in advance anymore.
No.
Maybe the next title or something, but 6 titles in advance, like holy shit.
I know. It's kind of what I was saying before about the whole new in-box experience. Sometimes it's actually kind of nice to have to wait and then have it revealed, and then, you know what, it's only a couple of months away. So we talked about Iron Maiden, and people were saying, Stern really hyped it up. No, they didn't. They didn't mention it at all. In fact, the first time on record they actually mentioned it was when they had that 5-second clip on the Dead Clip stream, right? That was the first time they mentioned it, right?
It's hilarious because it's true. It's just like, for all of us, consumed by podcasts and Pinside, nothing is new. But for everyone else, when they make that announcement and that post on Facebook, like Sterno from Elk Grove Village is proud to announce, and we're like, yeah, we fucking know. Like we.
Right. Well, I remember the first time I knew, and I know it's not necessarily the title that people get excited about, but when WrestleMania came out,
yeah,
the first I saw of it was the day that they revealed it.
Yeah,
that was the first I knew about it, and obviously it was a letdown because I didn't really like the title. But that was back in the day where these loose lips weren't sinking ships.
Well, maybe they were, and maybe we just weren't in the loop back then. I don't know. Maybe. I'm starting to think like, as I said, with social media, This Week in Pinball kind of having that list that's always there, kind of to remind you, and with podcasts, I mean, there's a lot.
There's probably a bit of competition out there to try and who can get the scoop on this stuff. Well,
I'm happy not to get the scoop, but if people are going to mention it anyway, then I don't want to avoid it like it doesn't have, like, bury my head in the sand. It's out there, so there we go. It's a lot of titles. You can jump on This Week in Pinball and see the full list of rumor titles from all manufacturers. As I said, they're rumors, but they've never really been wrong. So
yeah.
What other certain news? We got a Stern of the Union. Nothing really much in there, but what that little thing that I added into the show notes. I was browsing Reddit in the pinball sub forum, and someone posted that Stern of the Union as a thread, and I just clicked on it and looked at the comments. And it made me laugh so much because I said, "This is Reddit. Maybe some people are out of the loop." Someone said, "What the fuck is the Stern Army?" It made
they
me
must
laugh.
have been an Australian where it means nothing to us.
It means nothing to us here. Come on, who's looking after it? Zach Sharp,
Come
maybe?
on, Zach. Get us a Stern
We want to
Army.
be Stern fan, but we'll be the first ones.
Rage Tilt at Ryan's, like his house can be the first Stern Army because we don't really have that many locations here.
Yeah.
Unless you're on the Gold Coast, Brisbane, they've got heaps. But there's a couple of big locations with Stern machines here. You could do it. And if you want to promote more sales in this country, anyway. There was
free
more
translates. Anyway,
so there was more code updates. So Star Wars, we're in the final phase of testing the latest code. Guardians of the Galaxy, blah blah blah. Batman 66, another great update. Yes, it's looking really good. Hopefully, we'll be able to stream that with the latest code soon. Kiss coming up. I don't know.
That's it. As I said, everything is just up and coming. I mean, it's going to be the same thing almost every month until there actually is the update. And hey, there have been a lot of updates recently. I mean, when we first started the podcast, it was like, oh my gosh, there's been an update. But now there's like two a week
there's
or something.
There's updates every week, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So things are moving in the right direction there.
What else?
Well, let's plug some podcasts. We talked about how there's a million podcasts out there at the moment.
Yes.
There was 2 new ones kind of announced this week. There's the Riptide podcast with Steph and Crystal.
Yes.
2 females. So Mrs. Pin kind of opened the floodgates, and now there's women everywhere. I listened to their podcast.
Yep.
Great little introduction to
It's
who
awesome.
they are. Yeah, so that's called the Riptide podcast. We will link it in the show notes. And there was another one this morning, Marty. Is that right?
It was. Well, is it official? I would say if there's a Facebook page, it's official.
Yeah.
So this is
You can talk about it, mate.
Silver Ballers.
Yeah.
We like
That's
ballers.
a cool name. Yes. Christopher Franchi Our mate Chris, we gave him a taste of podcast fame, and he enjoyed it, and yeah, basically, I think he's going to be interviewing people in the industry, and I'm guessing it might be Stern only since he's a Stern employee. So we'll link that in the show notes as well. There's no episode. I guess this is also a good chance to thank everyone, I guess, for subscribing and listening to our podcast. As we mentioned, when me and Marty started, we when we got the stats working, we're like, oh my gosh, look, there's 100 downloads, or there's 150, and then one day one of the episodes hit 1,000, and we were like, holy shit, let's have a party.
I know, that was so long ago.
Yeah, and now like the Keith Johnson episode, I know Keith has an amazing resume with his 20 years extensive experience and Lord of the Rings and this and this and that. Well, he can add to his list now, like the most downloaded episode on the Head2Head podcast, because that episode went absolutely gangbusters.
Bananas.
So we don't. Me and Marty always say we don't know what people want to hear. Was it the fact that Keith is a coder and people like code? Was it the fact that he spoke really openly about everything? We didn't edit really anything from that interview.
No.
Like he just spoke freely. So let us know what you actually like. We get feedback, but people don't say, oh, I like that more than this. They just say, yeah, that was cool. That was a cool interview. So send your feedback and hate mail our way.
We appreciate it. We are humbled. We're really happy that people are enjoying what we do. So don't forget to vote us in the Trippies.
Marty, where do you like to play pinball? In your house?
I play pinball most in my house at the moment, yes.
Have you ever played pinball on a bus, Marty?
Have I? Yes, I have.
The pinball party bus.
I have played it on the pinball party bus. Who is the pinball party bus, you ask?
Let's find out, motherfucker.
Let's do this. All right, so joining us today, this is something that we mentioned, believe it or not, Ryan, episode 4 of our podcast was the first time that we mentioned the pinball party bus. Can you remember that far ago?
I do. It was exactly 38 weeks ago. I remember it like it was yesterday.
And so 38 weeks later, we've decided to get Mick and Dion from the party bus on our podcast for a bit of a chat. How are you, boys?
Yeah, good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So walk us through the story, the origin story. Obviously, you guys had a number of pinball machines in your house. How do you go from there to gutting a bus and putting the pinball machines in the bus?
Yeah, well, all right. The way it really started was probably about 5 years ago. We got our first sort of project pinball together, which was Fishtails, and that took us probably about 3 months to get all the parts. It had nothing in the back box at all, no boards, a lot of bits of flippers missing, the catapult, the fishing reel, and Dion was pretty much the one that sourced all the parts for it, and we ended up getting it working within about 3 months.
Yeah, I had to research and pretty much find everything, the whole hardware, all the boards that work with the whole system, the WPC system it runs.
And so from there, because that one ended up being successful, it just drove us to get another project pinball and then sell that and then get 2 more. And then it just sort of built over 5 years. We did about 20.
Yeah, our first one was Revenge from Mars. We had to travel pretty much 6 hours up to New South Wales.
Had to go to Wagga Wagga to get Revenge from Mars.
So that's a pretty big undertaking to fix a project machine. What was the background behind that? Did you have experience with other types of electronics?
No, not at all. We just thought we
had a little bit of computer knowledge, but no really, I don't know, no tech knowledge much.
Yeah, we both loved pinball anyway, and just thought let's give it a go. And if it wasn't successful, I don't think we'd be here today. But as it was successful, it just kick-started our desire to create more, fix more machines, and that built up enough profit to have 4 to 5 machines at home to keep. So from there, once we had them at home, people would come visit us and would go to we'd have parties here, and then they'd say, guys, can we hire 1 or 2 machines for our party? And then we go, oh, yeah, but we've got to pack it up, fold it up, put it in the four-wheel drive, take it there, leave it there, come back the next day and repeat the process. So my brother-in-law, Adrian, he, I said, there must be a way to deliver many pinballs at once without having to set them up each time. And my brother-in-law just sort of offhand said, can they go in a bus? And I just sort of went, yeah, they probably could. So that was probably about 2.5 years ago. He said that. And I mentioned it to a bus driver friend of mine who works with a bus company, and he said occasionally they decommission old buses and he'll let me know if they ever have one. So it was about December 2016. Yeah, December 2016, just before Christmas, he gave me a call, said, Mick, the boss is getting rid of 2 buses, practically giving them away. Do you want them both? And I said, I think maybe one might be enough to start with, just for now. And we don't have enough pinball machines to fill 2 anyway. So I said, why not? Now's the opportunity. Let's give it a go.
And I said, yeah, and once Dad told me, I was like, oh, we're really doing this. So let's dive in.
It became a reality, and we just dived in, give it a shot. And from there, we just sort of sourced a few friends who, firstly, Dion and I took all the seats out of the bus. That took a while. Dion was underneath holding the nuts with a spanner. I was drilling the bolts out through the floor.
And we had to sometimes actually really try and force the seats out because the screws were pretty much so rusted after 30 years. Yeah, the seats couldn't come off.
The bus was 30 years old, so the seats had never been removed in that time, so the bolts were a bit rusty.
Yeah.
So was the bus in decent condition, like the engine and the everything? Like has it? Did they ever change? I mean, a bus is always on the road driving, so I'm guessing after 30 years, it's either had its engine replaced or got over
I was given
a couple 100,000 miles on there.
Yeah, I was given the whole service history. This big thick pad of paper with all the regular servicing, so it had been well maintained and was in great condition. But the registration had run out, so I had to sort of do the roadworthy, get all the mechanics up to date. But that was all within our budget. And so then after we removed the seats, we had a friend who is a welder, who I met in an English class. I helped sort of migrants with a second language, help them in conversational English. And he is a welder, and he helped weld up some frames that bolt to the floor, and then it's like a cradle, so the pinballs sit on that welded frame without the pinball machine legs. Also another friend who was a sign writer. He helped us with our logos and all the signage, our flyers, and the sign decals on the bus itself. So that probably all up took about 6 months to get it all up to scratch. And by July 2017, we were on the road, ready to go.
Yeah, already we launched, and the week before the launch, we basically went to my TAFE that I was at during that year and revealed it to everyone there as a pre-launch.
Yeah, and so that was at an event called TGF at Frankston TAFE. They do that during the school holidays. I think it's Tech Games Fest.
So it's all about video games and making them and playing. And one of my teachers, I told them about it because I told him I liked fixing pinball machines and playing them. And then he's told him about the bus, and he said, "Oh, this would be great at our TGF event." And
yeah, and of course the first 2 people who came on board the bus, our very first time that we started, was Stacey and Jordan straight away.
And we knew about that.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, Dion's teacher from TAFE knew Stacey through, I think, Melbourne Silverball.
And Weird and Retro.
Oh,
I think it was too.
Yeah, he said, I've got a pinball friend, and it happened to be Stacey, and he brought Jordan along. So they were the first 2 on the bus.
So what are for those who aren't familiar, what are the 5 machines? Is it 5 machines on board the Pinball Party Bus?
That's right, yeah, 5 pinballs. So we've got the Addams Family, which is my all-time favourite. Simpsons Pinball Party,
which is one of my favourites and the one that pretty much got me into pinball.
Family Guy, Jurassic Park, and the old Simpsons, Data East Simpson. And that's probably been one of our most reliable ones, the oldest one.
Yeah.
And so how long after launch, I guess, did the phone go off the hook for you to be booked into parties? And what sort of journey was that like?
Yeah, it's interesting because, like even with Facebook, I wasn't even on Facebook before I had the bus, and I thought, this is a quick way to get out to people. And my wife said, yeah, you might as well set up a page. And we've got a website as well. My brother-in-law helped us set that up. But I've just found Facebook was such a quick way to tell a lot of people at once, and then your friends tell their friends, and it just spread from there. And also we were fortunate enough to, my wife sent an email to our local newspaper, the Knox Leader, and they quickly got onto us, did an interview, did a photo shoot, and once it was in the Knox Leader, it then linked to the main Herald Sun website. And we got phone calls from there, which was great.
And so how many events would you do a week, month or year?
Well, I mean, we've only really set it up to do as a weekend thing at the moment, and just if it grows from there, that's great. Birthday parties, any events or functions on weekends we've attended. Probably get maybe a couple of birthdays a month. And that's on weekends again. We just recently, last weekend, we were at the whole weekend at the Man Cave Expo at the Melbourne Showgrounds. And that really just was an event where, if you want to set up your man cave or a games room, anything that goes in there, like pinball machines, pool tables,
sound systems, even beer, like furniture, old gramophones they had various antiques stuff too.
And we thought we'd try to get in on that. And for those who either can't afford to buy a pinball machine for their man cave, or their significant partner won't let them buy one, then hiring the bus is another option.
Yeah, and Zach's Amusements was also there too, and we said to them, like, if you want to buy a pinball, you can head down to Zach's Amusements, and they've got some of the new games like Iron Maiden that's coming out, or Star Wars, Batman 66, and then they said if you want to hire, go to those guys down there, the Pinball Party Bus, and we gave them pamphlets and we helped each other out.
So we were sort of referring each other to each other.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So obviously these machines, since they're on a bus and the bus has some kind of suspension, that's one of the first things I noticed when I was in the Pinball Party Bus with my family, is there's no tilt bob, obviously, because you people would step on the left or the right and the machine would tilt without you kind of doing anything. So have you ever had any issues with people kind of, I guess they are in the brackets so people can't throw them around too much, but has anyone ever been kind of so rough that you had to kick them off the bus, so to speak?
No. They've mainly been pretty good. They occasionally you get the ones that shake it a bit harder than others, but the frames they sit on are pretty sturdy, so there's never been a problem. Initially, we did leave the tilts in there, but
they kept tilting. Like when we would walk in and out, it would just all tilt. So we just unscrewed the little bob.
Yeah, so it was more people walking around that caused the tilt rather than people shaking the machine.
And so how do you level the bus itself when you actually arrive and you've got, it's on a bit of an angle? How do you prop the bus up so it's level?
Yeah, sure. Usually, so if someone makes a booking, I always go on Google View and check out what their street looks like. If it looks too hilly or too much of an angle, I'll let them know, hey, I can park around the corner, that looks a bit more level. But we've sort of had 100% success rate. We've kept it level each time. And it's usually a left-right thing, because if we park the bus on the street, the street always angles towards the curb for drainage. So we usually put planks of sleeper wood, thick pieces of wood, under one side of the bus where the curb is, and just drive it up to level off the left side usually.
Have you ever thought, was it ever part of your thought process? Because, sometimes when you're driving around in the city, you see those party buses where there's like a little mini disco for, the teenagers and people that are going to their prom or their, whatever it's called in Australia. I've forgotten. I've been Americanized. So have you ever thought of something similar where people could go on the pinball party bus and play pinball while the bus is driving?
We try.
I think you've answered your own question.
It's like, this isn't safe. But people think we do that.
A lot of people think we do that, especially at the Man Cave Expo. They kept saying, "Oh, how do you keep the bus? How do you play while it's moving?" So I said, no, we just stay still, stay steady and level.
Just a portable arcade that will stay at your house for the
bus is really just a delivery system. That's what I tell them. It's a way to deliver many pinballs to you at once. But we always get phone calls from people saying, "Oh, I'm ringing up about the bus. Can you pick up about 20 of us from Rosebud? Pick us up from Rosebud and take us to Melbourne Airport?" I said, no, it's not the bus. So we don't even have seats in for passengers. It's really just to deliver the pinballs to them.
Yeah, they've only got just one seat for me to sit in while we drive, and the rest is just the pinballs fill up the rest of the spots.
Yeah. And, I mean, my main concern was always going to be with the bus driving around, shaking, rattling, and going over speed bumps. I just thought, gee, this is really going to loosen a few wires and fuses and things like that. But I've been really surprised how well they've held up.
Yeah, we fold the heads pretty much down and strap them while they're moving, so they won't fall out of the frame.
Yeah.
So they snugly fit in.
No, they travel nicely. I'm really surprised how well they travel.
And so do you now no longer have machines inside your house?
Nope.
No, it's so quiet. My wife, Karen, loves it.
So no desires?
That's why we keep heading to those competitions and entering in those raffles at Pinball Charity, because we definitely want one back at home.
That's right.
We definitely want one at home.
We'd love to get another one back home, just so we don't have to keep driving to the bus to play our own pinballs.
And so
where is the bus? It's not in your house. It's
no.
Parked at a bus depot. Is that right?
Well, it's parked at a storage facility and has 24-hour access. It has floodlit car park, 24/7 security cameras. So, we might end up coming back from a party around midnight or later, and we can safely park the bus with a swipe card, get in, leave the bus there, get back in our car and go home. So it's been great where we've parked it. Been really good facility.
And so what machines that you know of that have been recently coming out are you most excited about? And I guess what I'm asking is if you could get a machine that you would put in home, what would it be?
In home or in the bus?
Let's just say in the home, so it's strictly not a business decision.
Okay, sure. I'll pass it on to Dion.
For me, I have a huge wish list of tons of machines, but for me, I have a huge wish list of a ton of machines. But I think it would be either a Lord of the Rings, a Batman 66, or a Metallica. Those are my top three. I'd maybe get one of those.
Yeah, I think Batman 66 for me, because I grew up with that Batman. I'm probably in Marty's era.
And and I'm slowly getting into it too, because my uncle actually gave me for my 18th the Blu-ray box set of all 3 seasons, and I'm like, yes, I can watch it, because I came back from Chicago after seeing Batman in the factory. I was like, I need to watch this series now, since they're making a pinball of it as well too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you said that you kind of restored possibly about 20 machines. So obviously you were kind of turning over your collection quite regularly. Those 5 machines in the party bus, like once you put them in there, were you like, that's it, we're done? Like, I guess since everyone that you're going to is a new customer, you don't need to cycle them around like somewhere like at Pixel Alley where it's static and the same people are coming, you have to turn them over.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. I thought we might have to rotate them every now and then, but I thought we're not really going to get that many repeat customers within, like a month or so. That it's not like they're going to go, oh, you still got those? No, but every function we go to is a new event, really.
Yeah.
And it
awesome.
can be a bit of a pain taking them on and off the bus. We're always...
It's easier to get them on than getting them off. We had to take one off to put Family Guy in, and there was a bit of a headache getting it out through the front door of the bus.
If we could, we would like to put maybe...
Yeah, they weren't.
But yeah, at the moment, these machines are working out pretty well, and everyone loves them. Yeah, especially Adam's Family. Some people go, right, Adam's Family? That's lovely. I used to play that all the time.
Yeah, quite a lot of people who come on are really happy to see Adam's Family again because they haven't seen it since, 20 years ago.
Do people offer to buy the machines off you? Like,
yes.
How much do these cost? I'll take it off you.
Yeah, well, a couple of people have, or they've inquired where you can find, an Adam's Family or a Simpsons pinball party. Yeah.
Yeah, but we just keep saying, no, these machines are not for sale. These are our collection, pretty much.
But I should say, as you mentioned at the start of the interview, Marty, you mentioned this in episode 4 of your podcast, and by the week later, Ryan came and saw us at one of our first events, which was the Donut and Beer Festival.
Oh yeah.
And from there, it's really just. It's been great how the pinball community has sort of just been opened up to us through, probably from meeting Ryan initially, and then Stacey, Jordan, and
Martin.
It's just sort of grown from there. We really feel like we're part of a pinball community, which is great.
Because Bumper Action, after they finished their once a month pinball thing, we were just wondering, where can we play pinball now?
And now we see you all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. It's the number one thing when I see someone that's interested in pinball. If I'm it's usually when I'm buying a machine off someone off Gumtree or something. It's just, it always pains me to see that somebody's interested in the hobby and they're not part of the community, because that's the best part of it. And I think I mentioned Aussie Arcade or something to you, Mick, and I can't remember if it was the buy-sell group, but yeah, you're kind of everywhere now, and you and Dion, and it's great to kind of see you guys out and about and spreading the word. You guys are pinball ambassadors, I guess, as well, because you're delivering pinball machines to people that ring you up. And
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good locations to play them, but not everyone can get to those locations, so it feels good to bring the pinball to them, to the people, and expose some people for the first time. Especially, we do quite a few teenage birthday parties, and some of the kids or their friends have just never seen a pinball before.
They just come in and go, "Whoa, what are these?"
but you can really tell the ones that pick it up straight away and the ones that just keep double flipping all the time.
But we do tell them, like, to when the ball goes to the left, hit the left flipper button, and same when it goes to the right. And if they do get that, then they start to play really well.
Yeah,
they can get it.
Some of them, you just tell them the basics, and you go, wow. If they keep playing, they're gonna be in Jordan's league.
And so where, again, you mentioned it before, so where can people find you again if they want a pinball party bus? And we probably must also mention that this is in Melbourne, in Australia, so if you're overseas, they're probably not going to put it on a boat, I'd imagine.
We would want to get it to America and also have it there in Chicago and Canada, but for now we'll work on Australia at the moment.
That's right, but I should mention it is a world-only concept. If you Google it, I bet you won't be able to find it anywhere else. So it is only in Melbourne, Australia. But we do plan to. We'd love to be in Texas next year at the Pinball Festival with Ryan, maybe again.
Or Martin.
Yeah, one of us will be there, I'm sure.
And I'm hoping to maybe even give a little talk or a seminar about the pinball bus, a little presentation, and to see if we can partner with someone in the States.
Yeah, and
So if anyone's listening, we might be at Texas. Pop over and come and have a chat with us, see what the possibilities are to expand in America or Canada.
yeah, and even meet some of the
Mick,
pinball
you
guys.
should have bought that second bus.
I
That
know.
second bus that you got offered. That would have been your your franchise opportunity.
And as I should mention, our website is www.pinballpartybus.com, thepinballpartybus.com, and we're also on Facebook, Pinball Party Bus, 3 words.
Are you also on Stitcher and Google Play? And are you also?
No, only Instagram is the other one.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, thanks, guys, for coming on. Really appreciate all you do for pinball in Melbourne and hopefully global at some stage.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure. And as I said, listen out, America. Here we come.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
See you guys. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
So there you go. Honestly, 2 of the nicest people you will ever meet in the pinball community.
Yep, spreading the love, one pinball bus at a time. And as I said, they're at every competition they can get to now. They're coming to my my Rage Tills. They were there the previous month, and they're quite good players, and they're learning. And yeah, it's great to have them.
Yeah, and it's really funny. I mean, they sort of mentioned it as well, but if you remember, I think it was kind of like even episode 3, we mentioned something about the pinball party bus, and then the week after you had sort of met them, and then we talked about it more. And I remember back at the time you said, and they're going to come along to a competition. And I went, oh, okay, cool. It'd be really good to meet them. And now we see them at competitions all the time, and they're just great people.
Yeah. As I mentioned in the interview, it's great to be part of the pinball community because that's what's the best thing about pinball. I just listened to Mrs. Pin go off about, I'm not sure if you've listened to it on the way home, Marty, go off about how much fun she had in Allentown. And it reminded me of that part of my pinball journey as well. Going to my first whatever and saying, wow, why are people so nice?
Yep.
Am I an asshole? Like,
yeah.
Why am I not
Pretty
this
much.
nice? Yeah, and it rubs off on you, and you end up becoming nice. And then you fast forward a bit.
I loved the latest episode of Mrs. Pin. So I especially loved when she was freaking ecstatic because she came 95th out of 102 people. Like I couldn't stop smiling as I was driving in my car listening to her podcast, just feeling how excited she was. But that's what it's like.
Well, it's true. She's a glass, half full person because she beat 7 people, right? After missing out on the first round. So, yeah, we'll see.
What else have we got this week, Ryan?
Well, I'm just looking at the Pinside Top 100, Marty.
Yes.
And Iron Maiden it was at 1, and then it was 5, and it seems to update, Marty, like literally while we're recording. So we've got a good time slot here. It's back up to number 3.
Number 3. Okay, so it's had some new ratings.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of went on a bit of a bitch. I'm not sure if it was mainly me about people.
We both kind of took the bit of the piss out of some of the ratings.
Yeah, and what we got, and we forgot to mention this last week, but we got a email from a very kind of disgruntled Pinsider. Should I play the voice recording, Marty?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay.
Hey, this is Pinside Pete. You guys got a freaking attitude problem. I'll tell you why I gave those ratings I did on Pinside. Here's why. Iron Maiden, it says 2 minutes to midnight. I know it wasn't because it was 8:30. It was my bedtime. That's a fail. And TNA, Total Nuclear Annihilation? I'm sorry, but the girl on the back glass just doesn't do it for me. She's not hot like the Strice and Sparrows girl. Oh, boy. So you don't like my ratings? Let me rate you 2 guys. Martin, you need to smile more. Try laughing once in a while. Maybe have a drink. Take the edge off. I give you a 7. And Ryan, you never know what's going to come out of his mouth. Last time I listened, he talked about a circle jerk. Gross. No one's ever going to see my wiener, ever. So you 2 guys can just fuck off.
Petey, did you just swear?
No, Mom. I gotta go.
I have listened to that sound clip. I don't know how many times, and it's so perfect. This guy goes by the name of Pinside Petey,
It's
and
Pinside Petey.
Pinside Petey. What a little shit. And
Yeah.
I love how he gave you a 7,
Yep.
but then he didn't rate me. He just said I'm fucking gross.
You're beyond rating.
I'm beyond rating. I'm unrateable. So, shall we go to the slam? Shall we use that as a segue to the slam, the top 100?
Yes. So let's recap on what happened last week.
I got Doctor Who. You got Catacomb. I think that's how you say it.
Well, how do you really say it?
Catacomb.
Catacomb.
So there were 66 votes. I managed to pull out the win just, and I'm pretty sure it was because I had the most epic gif ever of a cat being combed by like seven people.
Like people were even commenting saying, I gave you the vote because of the cat gif. Who doesn't love cat gifs? So,
And
what was
clear,
Catacomb? Catacomb was like 99 or something.
something like that, yeah.
So I'm taking that as a win. I know you've sort of said that, you know, you haven't lost the last 5 times, but the gap between how high yours have and how low mine have been has been an absolute chasm. So I've done well considering. So I think people are voting for the better argument.
It was the GIF, and I chose the GIF as well. I was like, I got to throw Marty a bone here. He's not going to get 0% vote. Sucks to be me. So we got, I think, 2 emails during the week saying, yes, you have done Big Bang Bar before, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to go through a whole list of like all the previous episodes and find the point. And the guy was like, yeah, you just like look at your Facebook page and with the poll, and you can get a list in like 2 minutes. Like, that you've just saved me. And he gave the list as well. So, are we ready for the next Slam the Top 100, Marty?
Yes, let's do it.
Please generate a number from 0 to 100.
Sure. 12.
Ooh, I'll take that.
Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
No.
The reason why I'm more excited because I know how much you love that game versus how much I love that game.
No, oh my god.
Good luck arguing against that, Marty.
Yeah.
Okay. Please generate a number from 0 to 100.
All right. 54.
Guns N' Roses.
You love GNR, Marty. You just played it the other day.
I actually do love Guns N' Roses. I do, however, feel that this freaking game is entirely rigged. Entirely.
Okay, well, if you really want to, you can generate the numbers on your phone.
I'm going to do that next time. I'm happy for this to stand, but it just so happens that you happen to get Star Trek when you know it's my favourite game of all. I mean, I hate that game.
Siri it up. Go. Do it. No, come on.
No.
I refuse to go on, Marty. Come on. I don't want to win 6 times in a row. I want to lose. Come on, Marty.
No. I'm happy to go. Let's do this.
You're going for the pity vote now, Marty.
Yep, absolutely.
Are you ready, Marty?
Yep.
Star Trek, Steve Ritchie's masterpiece. You put this next to Spider-Man like I have. People say it's the same layout. No, Star Trek is better. I've owned Spider-Man twice, and I've moved Spider-Man out of my collection twice. The flow on this machine is amazing. Starting a 30-second mode and finishing it with a 9-way combo makes you feel like the king, okay? Steve Ritchie's not the king. You are when you do that 9-way combo. You can do a 6-way for a silver, a 3-way for a bronze medal. There's 3 layers of modes, 18 modes, awesome multi-balls. Star Trek.
Okay. Not a bad start.
Yep. Go for it, Marty. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, almost there.
Just loading up some flyers.
Yep, getting the flyers ready. Okay, you ready?
Ready, set, go.
Here we go. So Guns N' Roses is by far the best Data East game that was ever made. Wide body that really works. It's got the GNR ramps, which somebody only noticed the other day for the first time. Anyway, that's crazy. Really good rule set. Love the multi-ball. Love the modes that you can lock in by using the trigger. It's fantastic. Got magnets under the playfield. Fantastic art. Really good flow to this game as well. Some nice tight shots which reward great players. It's a fantastic game.
What do you mean by the GNR ramps? A GNR, is it like in the shape of a G, an N and an R?
Yes. Are you going to look it up for the first time?
Well, no, I don't really care. It's a crappy game, so I'm not going to look it up. I'll look it up after. I'll look it up after. All right. I'm not even going to bag Gina. I'm just going to keep on talking about how good Star Trek. You know you got a winner when you don't need to bag the other game. Okay. Star Trek. The LE. Beautiful machine. A real LE. The lasers that shoot out the sides, the little thingy-jiggies that stick out on the head box. It was the last LE, I guess, before Iron Maiden came out. The warp ramp, let's talk about that. The single most satisfying, repeatable shot in pinball. You cannot get a shot better than that because it goes up. The lights chase it beautifully. The fucking flashes give you an epileptic fit. And then the ball drops down off the ramp and you can hit it again. And the call-out's amazing. I need 5 minutes to talk about how good this machine is. All right, Marty, you ready to go for your... Hey, I want you to talk about how much Star Trek sucks.
I'm going to.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Ready. First of all, the artwork sucks. It had the most amount of backlash that Stern has ever had, well, up until Game of Thrones, about the art. It's just terrible. And yes, the ramps are there, but they're a little bit samey. And that warp ramp, what do you get when you get 9.9 warps? An Adderball that does absolutely nothing. And how about those modes? Have you been to Enterprise Amok, Ryan? Have you been to 5-Year Mission? No, nobody has. It's too fucking hard. Ruined the game.
Like you're acting like deeper rule sets have ruined the game.
Yep.
It's the carrot, Marty.
Nope.
It's what. I'm looking at this GNR picture that you sent me, Marty. I can see the G. I can see the R. Where's the N?
I don't know. Up your ass.
Is it the where's the N?
There's no N. It's Guns Roses.
Guns in Roses.
Yep.
Okay.
But had you not noticed the G and the R ramps before?
No, I just remember someone telling me that it's impossible to find repro versions of the G, the yellow ramp. Anyway, you're gonna lose, Marty, but I'll give you a good gift. There's gonna be plenty of good Guns N' Roses gift. There'll be some good Star Trek ones as well, but Star Trek, as if you don't, fucking bullshit. Everyone
Well, how many times have you been to Enterprise Amok? Because that's not even the final wizard mode. That's just the middle mini wizard mode. How many times have you been there? How many times?
0.
Right.
But I guarantee that if I put everything back to normal, I would get there in one session. Because when I was fucking around with my thing, I just said I took the outpost out. I put the tilt. I went crazy with the settings, and I was pulling 300 million games. So if I can do that with no extra balls, then Star Trek is essentially a 5-ball game. If you have a decent enough game, you will get enough warp ramps to get the extra ball, and you should be able to finish the second level Vengeance, whatever, right?
Sure.
So it's a 5-ball game,
Yep.
and I think I can get there.
Okay. So how long have you had the game now?
2 years.
And how many times have you been to Enterprise Amok?
TNA has made me a considerably better player.
How many times have you thought to yourself, I am going to get to 5-Year Mission this time?
0.
Right. It's impossible.
It's not impossible. Keith Elwood did it in fucking half an hour in his little YouTube
well,
show.
he is superhuman. We love you, Keith.
Anyway, it's a carrot. It's a carrot dangling in front of you.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you imagine if, like, what Keith Johnson says, once in a while where you have that beautiful game and everything aligns. Can you imagine if you, like, during ball 1 you get to the end of whatever pinball machine you're playing? You want it to be, like, lined up perfectly that it's so deep that you kind of, like, just get there, right? On your last ball.
But you and I, neither of us have ever been to Enterprise Amok, so that's not even close to getting to the final mode.
How about this? After my next tournament, I'm going to put everything back to factory default.
Yep.
I'm going to lower it back down to 6.5 degrees.
Yep.
Because that was the final thing. I was going to talk about this in the whole This Week in Pinball thing, but the final thing that I need to do to make the pinball machine harder was increase the pitch, because I forgot to do it. It was at a more shallow pitch due to our head-to-head battle thing.
Sure.
I forgot to ever raise it back up. At 6.5, the machine plays like a fucking dream. Like, you just hit the right orbit, and then when the ball comes to the left flipper, I can hit that right ramp like 90% of the time, just perfectly. I don't know. It plays like butter. But I will tell you this. You know how there's a combo champ? Remember we compared combos and we both had the same amount of, like, yeah? dialed in was significantly higher. Like my combo champ on dialed in was like 130, 140. And it does almost doesn't make sense. You're like, there's more flow in a Steve Ritchie game. No, dialed in like double the amount of combos on that game. Anyway, moving on. That'll be up in 24 hours on our Facebook page. You can vote for who had the best arguments, and just award me 6 weeks in a row. So
whoever's got the better gift. And so, I felt that I should have had more votes last week because you said Dalex. So, guys, you just got to give me this. He can't have 6 weeks in a row.
Well, let's see how many people listen to the actual podcast.
Funny. So, shall we continue with This Week in Pinball?
Well, shall we head to our Pirates competition?
Let's do This Week in Pinball.
Sometimes I don't know if you...
that was meant to be a segue, but sure.
Yeah, sure.
We had it nailed up until this moment.
Smooth as butter. Okay. This week in Pinball, not sponsored by Jeff. What did you get up to, Marty?
Well, did you see the Iron Maiden limited edition stream this week?
Was that last week or this week? I can't even remember. I'm just losing track of time.
Yep.
Yes, I saw a little bit of it. Yes.
It looks spectacular.
Does it look that much more spectacular than the Pro?
Yeah, I think it does. And what I guess what I kind of like about it is, I mean, the lighting adds more of an effect to the playfield. It kind of just makes it a little bit more special. The two things I liked, obviously, it's now got that Newton ball that rises mechanism, which locks via the left ramp, and it's actually got the center ramp up to that bullseye that now lifts up. And everyone said it's now much easier to be able to start a mode via that. So, I like what I see. I really like what I see.
Yeah, we still haven't seen the premium. I think we're going to see that sometime this week. So by the time you're listening to this podcast, it might already be out there. I think everyone's going to win no matter what. As I said, there's people are going to complain about this title no matter what because of the theme and because of this and because of that. But it just seems like it's one of Stern's best. And I think we've mentioned before, it looks great without any real crazy toys and mechs.
Yep, that's right.
And it just proves that, I don't know, it's like, what is pinball? Pinball to me, I mean, I remember someone saying to me, Metallica's their best game ever because it's that one game where everything aligned and they've got, amazing art, amazing code, and amazing... Was it you?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I think someone else said it as well, and amazing toys, and he went on about the hammer and Sparky and the snake, and, I mean... I've disabled my coffin lock on Metallica for the competition, and I unplugged the magnet as well because there's a bug in the code where even if you disable the magnet, it still powers up. Anyway, I unplugged the magnet, and I don't know if I want to turn it back on because the game is almost like better when it's just like it's free flowing and it's a virtual lock. I know I can probably disable the snake, but I'll just kind of leave it as it is. I don't know. It's an interesting shift into maybe a new era of pinball where there's going to be less toys and less things that slow down the ball. Because Keith Elwin obviously isn't a fan of that. I don't think Keith Elwin's going to have a Rescue 911 helicopter that's going to grab the ball slowly and then move it up there. I don't think that's going to be his style. Jersey Jack, very mech and toy happy, right?
Yep.
What do collectors want? Collectors probably want those toys, right?
I think they do, and again, Iron Maiden is no exception. There's two toys in particular that I saw in it. I'm assuming they're not in the Pro, and they were just really finely detailed toys. They actually look great, rather than it being a Matchbox car that's just been stuck on the playfield.
I don't mean toys like figurines. I mean toys like things that interact with the ball. Sorry, I should be saying that, not toys. Mechs that interact with the ball, right?
I think what we want is mech toys or whatever they are that do something different, I guess. So, I mean, you hear people are sick of bash toys, right?
Yeah.
So that's not inventive at all. That's just you've got either a magnet underneath it or something that has a toy above it. But what was the last really inventive toy? I mean, you've got the obviously the toy box in Aerosmith, but that was done with Indiana Jones, even though it didn't have the ball that flipped over, but that was an NBA, so that's not necessarily anything new. What's a new toy?
I mean, Jesse, Wizard of Oz has a bunch of them, but then the ball doesn't really interact with them. Like you have the spinning house, which is super cool, but the ball just goes around the house, kind of like you're the tornado kind of thing.
Yep.
The monkey that grabs the ball. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and it's called I don't know. The more I play pinball, the more I'm like, you don't really need these crazy things that, for me, it's mainly slowing down the ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I don't know.
Maybe the rotisserie. Even though I know it's a bit dodgy, but the rotisserie on Batman 66, that's relatively inventive.
Yeah. Inventive, but not as fun as what I thought it was going to be. I don't know. The ones that I like the most are the Medieval Madness Castle. I think that's an amazing all-in-one mech. And the Doctor Who, whatever it's called, Time Expander. Yeah, I just think that's an amazing...
Yeah, I think so too.
Very inventive kind of 3-level playfield. So,
yeah,
I guess we'll see where... Because, the last year was all about, original themes are back. Is this another paradigm shift into games that are amazing, but they don't have to be amazing because they have that one mech that grabs the ball?
Well, right into us, guys. Tell us what your favourite mech was, or is, or what you'd like to see. Give them some ideas.
Money. I was sitting indoors this week watching Cobra Kai. I watched 5 hours straight on YouTube, and you were at a pinball competition.
I was at Argonaut. So I'm back in the groove with my my tournaments this year. It's been a while, but I'm now back. And guess what, Ryan? I came first. I did. Yeah, I came first.
Good job.
Of the people that had a chance of winning.
Okay. This should be the question after every segment on competitions. Hey, did Jordan Treadaway come? Yeah. Okay. So he lost.
So then who came second? Really?
Yeah. Who came second?
So we had a joke about it because I came second and someone said, "Oh well, that's practically a win." I said, "It's a win. When Jordan's here, I'll consider that a win." But
so this is
again, and we talked about this as well. In that it wasn't like he was a runaway. He was just consistently better than everybody marginally on each of the machines, if that makes sense. So,
the good news is that Jordan is not coming to my competition. He wasn't there at the first one. He's not. It's just Jordan free zone. And
it's not enough points for him.
What are you talking about? There's more. He's going to the Cooley Classic.
Yep.
Well, there's more points in my one than the other tournaments in Melbourne. But
sure.
As long as you win money and you don't come fourth.
But look, what I did like about this was it was a good collection of machines. So if I can try and remember them, you had Medieval Madness Remake. There was a Dialed In. There was Indy 500. There was Shadow, Playboy,
Jackpot,
Star
Trek Next Generation,
and Star Trek Next Gen. So and they were all in really good condition. So they actually played well, and that's all I ask.
Yeah. Was this a dig at my my Metallica thing? I fixed it, Marty. I fixed it for you. Yeah, it's fixed.
It actually wasn't a dig at your Metallica thing, but thank you for bringing that up and reminding me that it sucked.
Well, it's now fixed, and the machines are still hard as all hell.
Yeah, I like them like that.
I enjoy seeing your rage. So... Oh, that was another funny thing about Mrs. Pym, which is like, no one warned me that like playing in tournaments, you have to wait a really long time. And I was like, yep, been there, done that.
That's right.
That's why my games are hard as fuck. Anything else you did, Marty, this week?
No, that's it, pinball-wise.
Cool. So I mentioned already how I fixed Star Trek and made it super hard. Yep. Lord of the Rings. I started playing that for the first time in a while. I just totally forgot how good that game was. I know you're a bit fuzzy on the rules of Lord of the Ring, Marty, but
I'm really fuzzy.
Okay. There's, on the default settings, 2 of the multi-balls are way too easy. One is the Fellowship of the Ring, where you have to collect all the dudes to start multi-ball. All you do is hit every shot in the game once, and you've got it. And one of them is hitting the pop bumpers a certain amount of time.
Sure.
I've now turned that to hard, so you have to hit them in order, and that kind of slows down the progress of that.
Okay.
Not too hard. The other one is the Two Towers multi-ball, and that is literally just lighting the keep letters, right,
Yes.
in the in-lanes and out-lanes, and then shooting the right ramp. And you can stack those kind of you stack the locks kind of things. So you can have them all lit, so you can just shoot the ramp 3 times.
Right.
And basically, you can just kind of like just backhand that ramp, trap it up, backhand the ramp. I've now got it set on the very, very hard setting. So if you accidentally roll over a letter that is lit, it'll unlight it, and you
No
can't stack
way.
the blocks. So the hardest I can possibly kind of do, and that makes it very even between the 3 multi-balls. So that's mainly what I've done to that. I've taken the outpost out as well because the game does play pretty long. But with those settings, I think that's good enough for the skill level that we're dealing with. There's some other stuff that I want to do, but I don't want to bastardize the game too much,
Yeah, fair
like
enough.
Star Trek. Here's a funny story. How urgent would you be if you got a brand new machine, Marty, to get mirror blades? Would you wait overnight to get them? This guy was so desperate to get his mirror blades, he rang me up and he sent an Uber. He's like, "Can I?" So this Uber driver rocked up to my house and he was like, "Oh, hi, let's make up a fake name. Are you Damien?" I'm like, "No. I just, these are mirror blades for Damien. Can I just put them in the back seat of your car?" And he's like, "What are mirror blades?" I'm like, "It's just a package. Okay, there's a package. Just go to Damien's house." And he's like, "Okay." So I just he paid like, I don't know how much the trip was, but he was about 30 minutes away, and he paid an Uber to come pick up mirror blades.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I thought it
Ubers
was
aren't
fucking
that
hilarious.
expensive, really.
True. I mean, it depends on what price you put on your time, but yeah, I found that pretty funny. I got a new machine, Marty, in my
Yes.
house.
Did you?
Yeah, are you going to act super surprised?
Am I? Because I don't know this game is Big Buck Hunter.
So TNA finally made its way to its rightful owner, which is Nimmer, and funny enough, he has it for sale. So if you want a TNA, he has it for sale. It's an amazing TNA with no issues and only a couple hundred plays, or probably less than a couple hundred. Yes, my friend rang me up and said, "Would you like to house my Big Buck Hunter? I don't have any room. I'm probably going to sell it next. Do you want it before I sell it?" I said, "A free pinball machine? Yes, please."
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and people warned me that this is... I know... Jeez. What was a conversation I had with someone? I said, "Hey, I'm getting a new machine. Guess what it is?" And he's like, "Well, give me some hints." I said, it's a Stern that people consider as a turd. And then he just goes ahead and mentions, like, so many games, like Transformers, no. Avatar, no. Avengers, no. CSI 24, Sharky Shootout, like this. You're like, holy shit, there's a lot of games that are considered a turd. I'm like, I'm just going to tell you, it's Big Buck Hunter. Anyway, I set my expectations as low as they could go. And I was physically upset after playing the machine. Like, I actually felt like distress. I was just like, this machine fucking sucks. Like, there's no redeeming features. The next day I started to learn the rules a bit more, and believe it or not, I'm actually starting to... I can't believe I'm fucking saying this. I'm actually starting to like this game because it's... that's the only thing I can say nice about it. It's unique, right? There's no other game that's like this. If you want a Steve Ritchie game next to another Steve Ritchie game, the shots feel the same.
Sure.
This is completely different. One thing I absolutely hate about it is the pop bumper area. I'm not sure how much you know about it, Marty, but it's kind of like Avatar and Walking Dead, where the ball gets in there and it only has one little tiny exit. And I'm just like, get out of there, man. It's a John Borg thing. He likes to make very tight exits to certain pop bumper areas. I don't know enough about it yet, but the call-outs are horrendous.
I know you don't like the theme, and a lot of people don't like the theme because it's a bit yokey. But so look, I was sort of thinking about it today because I know you'd sent me some messages through the week saying how much you absolutely hate it and thought it was terrible. I've sort of said that era of Sterns where they had a relatively simple... It was a simple layout and simple rules. I kind of like that because at least I know the entire rule set at any particular time, and I don't have to worry about multipliers and stacking things and combining and whatnot.
Do you know the software on this game, Marty? Because I'm trying to figure it out, and it's not I can't figure out the whole add-a-ball thing. Like, I'm in a multi-ball, and then sometimes it's just 2 balls, and then I hit like 1 or 2 shots, and I don't know what I'm hitting, and all of a sudden it's the 4 balls are out, and then I play it the next time.
I think you've got to hit the bird shot, which is the kickback.
Okay, so the bird shot is the one in the middle. The kickback is the ram. Are you talking about the ram or the bird?
I can't remember which one. Maybe the one. It's been a while since I played it, but the one that actually holds the ball, like, you know.
Okay, that's the bird.
Well, actually, I think it's that. It's one of those. You've got to hit it a couple of times to get at a ball.
Okay.
But what I was going to say
I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. So what I was trying to do a bit of, and I've sent you a picture showing you where it sits as far as the history of Stern machines and also its ranking. This is from IPDB. So it's got a ranking of 6.8, which is not great. It is better than Avengers, which got a 6.5. Right. It's also better than CSI, which gets a 6.7.
Okay.
It's about the same as 24, but Iron Man's a 7.9, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even Avatar is a 7.4, which is respectable. So what is it about these particular games of the time that makes them good versus shit? Is it layout, or is it rules, or is it theme?
I think the amazing thing about Big Bug Hunter is that it is shit across everything equally. Like, it's got shit art, it's got a shit theme, it's got fucking horrible call outs. The layout is just weird. It's got 1 ramp only. The buck's kind of fun. The toy, I agree with Nick Lane there. It's fun. Nick Lane from Buffalo Pinball loves this game, and I don't know what he's smoking, but I want some of it. Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I really do like this game a lot.
All right, we'll do a swap, okay? I'll take your Iron Maiden.
Oh, that is such an even swap.
There'll be some money your way, okay?
No, but look, my point is that these games are fairly polarizing. There are people like myself and Nick Lane, and I also think Kevin likes it as well, that likes Big Bug Hunter. And, you know, the game that came out after it, Avatar, I really like Avatar, and it's not a great layout, and it's only got 1 ramp, and blah, blah, blah. But there's something about it that I find a little bit charming, because of its simplistic nature. And, you know, Iron Man came out at the same time, and when it came out, everyone said it was really simple, and it was really, you know, basic, and it was like an EM, and then all of a sudden it came good again.
This is the thing, though. I think, well, one, it had the theme, obviously, to kind of save it, but when you have a really simple layout like Iron Man, you know, orbit, bash toy in the middle, shot up the middle, and then 2 ramps, you can build a good rule set around that, right? Whereas when you have a game like Big Bug Hunter, yes, it's unique, but with its uniqueness, it's a very sloppy kind of design. Like, for example, it's really satisfying hitting an orbit, especially when it has a spinner. The spinner sits behind the buck. You can't hit the spinner unless you get the buck to move first. So you hardly ever hit the spinner. And I think all the spinner does, and I might be wrong, right, is it lights the critter. And if you have critter lit, when you drain down the outlane, it's like, oh, you got a critter. And if you don't hit it, it's like, oh, you shot a doe. I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means, but like, it's an extra 200 points. And it comes from the era of Stern having the worst skill shots where you cannot get the ball to divert all the way around. A post comes up, the ball goes into the pops, just like Iron Man, and you have to line up the light, and it gives you 250,000 points. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, do you know what? I'm looking at the list now, right? And I'm seeing what's done well and what hasn't, right? So, of that era, if we go back, let's say 5 or 6 machines, Batman gets an 8. So, thumbs up. CSI 6.7.
Okay,
NBA,
wait. Why are you going off IPDB and not Insights? Because
I this is just where I happen to get these so I could get the date of them. But I guess what I'm sort of thinking about with those ones is, and the reason why Iron Man probably stands out amongst all of those is it's actually a really good tournament game.
Okay.
And if you think about, you know, those games around it, so Big Buck Hunter, it's not, people don't like it in tournaments. Avatar, people don't like it in tournaments. Tron, people like it in tournaments. You know what I mean? I think that's probably the difference. That's what makes it have lastability, is that, you know, the tournaments tournament scene is where you get a lot of opinion, I guess.
I always say that I kind of like games that don't really have crazy multipliers and like just one double scoring and that's enough. Maybe I should take that statement back because this game has the most kind of like boring scoring opportunities. Like everything is the fucking same. Like you're in one multi-ball, jackpots are like about 300,000. You're in like 5 other multi-balls, and every single multi-ball kind of has the same base value. It's just like how do I blow things up? How do I get things moving? It's just so linear in its scoring. It just make it a little bit more interesting than that. Anyway, it's an old game. I don't think Stone cares. I'm complaining about a game that came out 8 years ago. They got Iron Maiden now. They don't give a shit. No. I'm just And as I said, I'm enjoying it. It's going to be in the competition. It is pretty fucking brutal as it is. I'm going to make it even more brutal just so people really fucking hate the game.
Yep.
And that left out lane just magnets. It's cool. So awesome. I guess we'll be streaming it sometime soon for fun as well. And,
for sure.
I don't know how long I'm going to keep it, but he said he's not in a rush, and it's filling up an empty spot. So I guess it comes down to me taking Game of Thrones off you.
It will have to be, or someone buying my freaking Hobbit. Anyway, let's not go there.
One of them. Okay, that's it.
Shall we have our one piece of mail for the week?
We're going to skip all the mails that we ignored last week. Okay, one piece of mail. My first hate mail.
Yes,
which is,
Ryan gets his first bit of hate mail, everybody.
You ready for it? Shall I read it out since it's directed to me?
You can read it.
Dear Ryan, you smell. Love, Hannah. Oh gosh.
I just you can't end a bit of hate mail with love, Hannah.
I know. And I was like, is this Hannah Hatch? Is this no? It's not. It's just Hannah. And P.S. I hope this counts as a hate mail. P.P.S. My husband Clarky just subjected me. I love the word subjected me to many, many hours of your podcast on our trip from Horsham to Canberra and back again. You guys are funny, but your interviews are boring. P.P.P.S. Is there a support group for pinball wives? Yes, there is a support group. Mrs. Pin has started it. It's called 1-800-PINSANITY. Yes,
it just doesn't exist yet.
It doesn't exist yet. But our interviews, I was thinking about it on the weekend. I was just like, if you're into pinball, like that Keith Johnson interview to me was like, I don't want to sound like I'm up myself, but it was like one of the most interesting things I've heard on a podcast, and it was we just happened to be. For me, it was. I
know it was.
Okay,
someone came to me during the week and said, it sounded like you had sort of really tuned out, and I went, yeah, I had. Because when Ryan started going on about code, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let him go with it and go into a little code coma. I would have liked to have talked about tournaments more.
But he doesn't play them anymore, so who gives a fuck?
I know, but he's still got
Josh. Okay, we'll talk to Josh. We can get him on the show.
But I understand that, and even I, after listening to the interview with him after, just found it incredibly fascinating. I really did. It's just very articulate, can explain himself very well, and it's
how open he was. That's
exactly right. And I just loved it. And we were. I don't know how you'd put this, but we were very direct with him. We were saying, well, hang on, think about it this way, and he's like, yeah, you know what, great question, and this is my thoughts, and you kind of go, okay, thank you for telling us your thoughts. That's great.
Yeah. When we started the podcast, I had maybe if you asked me to name 3 people that you would like to interview, like your dream kind of interviews, Keith would be one of them, and the 2 other ones we haven't interviewed yet. But after I interviewed Keith, I kind of realized that those 2 other ones wouldn't be as good, because even though they kind of have similar positions or whatnot, they wouldn't be able to talk the way that Keith talks, or they don't talk the way that Keith talks. So maybe that's why that interview did so well, and why it's our kind of number 1 episode already after 1 week. But yeah, I understand that interviews can be boring, either to people that are into pinball, but if you're not into pinball, like that interview is just you'd rather hear waves crashing or something.
I had
someone in my car.
Right? I had someone in my car during the week, and that was on, and they actually heard a little bit of before I got to change it to music, and they literally turned to me and said, "Do you honestly listen to that shit?" And I said, "Listen to it. I'm on it. I create this shit."
Oh Oh, no.
Funny.
Well, one quick one that I want to go through. We got a email from Ryan Wagner, which was another hate mail during the week, but it was horrible. He some people just try to be mean and they just can't. He's too much of a nice guy. This is Ryan from Comet Pinball. But yeah, he talked about the Trash Talk Invitational, and shall we go to Marty, our Pirates competition?
Yes. Was that Ryan's email? Like, it was. You didn't even really go into the detail of it.
Well, I don't know. You left it out. I don't know. Sorry, the screaming children thing. Yes, I want to say this. I want to retract what I said about the screaming child thing in the and Ryan mentioned this. The screaming child thing from the Alice Cooper Nightmare Castle. For some reason in my head, it's still annoying. I still don't like the sound. But I kind of worked it up in my mind and kind of made it a lot worse than it actually was. I didn't hear it for a while because I'm not going to go out and seek that out. And then when I listened to the podcast and you played it at the end, I was like, it kind of more sounds like a kid on like a roller coaster ride or something. I was like, yeah, I went on this whole rant about saying it's the worst sound in pinball. I'm sorry. It wasn't that bad. I just, I didn't do it on purpose to make a big deal out of it.
Anyway,
it's just what's
any
in my head.
publicity
Anyway,
is good publicity, right?
Well, hey, that bitch about that got Keith Johnson to message us and talk about something else, and that's how we got him on the show. So
there you go. Well done.
All right, the Pirates competition. The rules were send us a 10-second or less clip about being a pirate or in your best pirate voice. And we will play it on the show. We will choose our favorite each, and basically we'll put it down to a Facebook vote, and the winner will win a signed by Captain Jersey Jack Pirates of the Caribbean translate. We got a decent amount of entries. I think we have 6 or so here. Marty?
Again, effort just through the roof. So the quality that came through yet again on this has been absolutely phenomenal. People have just gone to an amazing effort just to make us laugh and probably make themselves laugh as well. So we are going to play them all, Ryan.
Here we go.
Pirate Marty here, har. Walk the plank, Captain Biceps, har. Your days are done, and I'll be shooting your balls through the cannon, ha.
We've got this one, which is a very smart one. It took me a while to get.
Yar! Went fishing and hooked a creature that I to which I'd never seen before. A titanic struggle, man and beast, but I nabbed the creature and yelled, into that thing! Yeah!
Alright, the joke there, if you missed it, was into net thing, right? Which is a joke about internet thing, which is we laughed about a lot, the Pirates of the Caribbean dudes that was
It's a
emceeing.
bit of an in-joke, that one.
It's an in-joke,
It's
okay.
hilarious. Well done, Stacey.
Here's another one.
Arr, I love head-to-head pinball, yes, scallywagon roosacks, and I'm gagging for JGP translate. Arr!
Yar, mates, we found the treasure down under.
Yar, there's a treasure chest full with Tim Tams.
Arr, put those Tim Tams in me rucksack.
See if you can recognize those voices.
Here's another one.
You know why Pirates of the Caribbean pinballs are the best. Because they just are.
I love it. I love its simplicity.
Alright, we have the next one.
A pirate called Andrew the Shyster was once the world's new pinmeister, fell hard on his arse in a world under glass, escaped in his hydrofoil even faster. Arr, geometry.
I love that one.
It was great, and then geometry.
And last but not least,
Matey, nothing like talking to the vile scum of you thieving Australians. My kind of crooks. It's Captain Bud G. Smuggler. And I heard you whining about the lack of spinning discs on the Pirates game. Ooh, frickety hoo. You wanna spin? Come here and rotate on my cannon. There she blows! I don't want you bleeding translate. You ripped it, Ryan. See, you son of a bitch. Let some other landlubber take the treasure. And fuck off!
Oh, God.
My God.
Come rotate on this cannon, Marty. What could that possibly mean, Marty?
Honestly, best competition results ever.
Those last two, amazing. So, how are we going to do this, Marty? Do you want to pick your favourite, and then I'll pick my favourite?
My favourite is the last one. Captain Bud G. Smuggler.
He did say in his little rant that he doesn't want the translate. You ripped it, Ryan C.
I know. Well, if he doesn't want it, it has to go to someone else. And I would. You go with which one you want.
Well, my favourite one, besides that one, is the geometry. Andrew, it's been in my head the entire week. There once was a pirate called Andrew Shyster.
Well, that's my other favourite.
Well, okay. Well, we got to choose because the other one with the Cannon and Bud G Smuggler, he did email us and say that he already has a Pirates of the Caribbean translate. He just wanted to enter for fun and to crush his competition or her competition. We don't want to say if it's a boy or a girl. It's anonymous. So we got to pick another one. Now we did say, Marty, that it has to be limited to 10 seconds.
That didn't happen.
Yeah, everyone pretty much ignored that. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we have to give the second position to someone that actually followed the rules and done it in under 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. So do we put that one in? I don't know.
Let's do that one.
Okay. So gagging for the translate or Andrew the Shyster. We will put that poll up maybe on Wednesday. You guys get to vote who gets the translate, and next time I don't know how to do rules. And so we gave rules this time. Everyone ignored them. We didn't give rules last time, and we got fucking like 8,000 word essays and news articles, and we couldn't read them out. So I don't know how to run a competition, Marty.
Doesn't matter as long as we have fun and you make us laugh. That's all we care about.
Cool.
All right, is that it? Are we done?
Are we done, Marty? Can I tell everyone where to find us?
You can.
It's time for another
Head2Head Pinball.
I'm your host,
Martin and Ryan C.
You can find our group on Facebook. We're also on Twitter at
H2H Pinball.
Email us
head2headpinball@gmail.com.
And please subscribe on either iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play.
There we go. I told That was cool, right?
Yeah,
that was professional.
That is awesome. You can never have too much Teolus.
Do you like my voice? That was me.
Great.
That was me.
It was great. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.